various research methodologies, let us first discuss various academic perspectives. In the second slide, please. So there are, though it's a dissertation or a thesis, it's a lengthy piece of academic writing based on original research that is submitted as a part of bachelor's, master's degrees, or your doctoral program. The structure of a thesis varies depending on the field in which you are pursuing your study, but typically divided into 4 to 5 chapters, including an introduction, conclusion, and conclusion of the chapter itself. Now, try to understand one basic thing is if you are pursuing a doctoral program or even your undergrad program, and you have to write a piece of research, you have to first understand that there are some guidelines given by the university in which you are pursuing that course. So you have to first make sure that you undergo the handbook of the research policies, and thereafter, if they do have a manual of research writing, then you have to undergo that also. We'll discuss about various research methodologies in a flow where we are going to start discussing about how to write about research. Kindly go to the next slide, please. So every stream or research is very discipline specific. What is research basically? Identifying an issue and investigating in order to resolve that issue. Okay. Now, not necessarily every time you have a statement of problem or you have some issue. You can even come across a piece or a fact of history on which you can go for a discovery. You can rediscover the same topic with some new angles, add on some new perspectives to this, to something that is already in existence, or else you can find out something new, which is called innovation. So innovation and discoveries both are allowed in research, but you have to understand one important point is there has to be a contribution. Unless and until there is a contribution from your side, it is not called as a research. Many people get confused in it, and what they do is they write reviews, literature reviews, or summaries of something that they have come across, or let's say you have referred several government reports, and if you write reviews based on that, then that becomes just a review and not a research writing. Or else if you are referring somebody else's research and you are writing on that a summary of it, let's say, or a review on it, then that also becomes just a summary and not a research. What is research basically? Research basically expects some kind of contribution into it. In the existing stream of knowledge, you should contribute something extra in it. Now, there are various techniques, various types of doing a research. For example, in humanities, the research writing is in the form of a long essay, developing an overall sense of argument revolving around the central thesis. The chapters are organized around diverse case studies and themes. Okay. Whereas empirical research that reinvestigates facts, historical facts, basically, or something that is already in existence, and you just reinvestigate that fact or add on something into it. So you can challenge some theories or concepts which has been formulated by the previous theorist or previous research scholars, and you can add on something new point in it. For example, in empirical research, the subjects like sciences, social sciences, the thesis is going to feature all the components that we are about to discuss below. In certain cases, they are dealt in a separate chapter, while in other cases, we require the combination of as per documentation. For example, in certain research writings, the finding chapter is always treated separately. But in certain disciplines, the finding is always there included into discussions, results, and discussions, which goes hand in hand. For example, in specific types of qualitative social sciences, the discussions as well as results are woven together than being dealt separately as we do it in stream of science. So these some basic differences you have to understand, identify what type of research you are doing, and then you have to undergo that kind of practice. Next slide, please. Now there are various types of research methodologies. So basically, you must have heard about qualitative method of research and quantitative method of research, and so on. So when we talk about qualitative method of research, it means you under qualitative you deal with the data that is in form of articles or text or some samples which are in written form or oral form, let's say. And then you analyze that data and you to your own conclusions. Whereas in quantitative, it deals with the quantity, that is number of something. So those numbers you have to analyze, you have to put into various formulas, you have to jot down your own conclusion. So that is known as quantitative study. So under this comes various parameters. For example, audiolingual method is there, field research is there, where you have to go on field and collect samples from there for, or data from for your research. Under sampling techniques also, there are various techniques like group sampling, that's selective sampling. Thereafter, for example, in selective sampling, if there are, let's say, you are sampling, you are collecting a sample of data for the financial status of certain population study. Okay, middle class society or below average uh, financial status of below average people, then you have identified some slum where you are going to collect the data. Now, let's say in that slum there are 500 houses. You can't go and check out in every house. You have decided in selective sampling that I will collect the data of a family where there will be minimum 4 or more members. So I'll exclude families which is below 4. If there are 1, 2, 3 people in a family, I'll not add this kind of families in it. This is called as selective sampling. Group sampling, you just decide a group and you just collect a sample from there. Then there is random sampling. Now, what is random sampling? Let's say you have collected data of all these 500 families, but you are not going to analyze the data of all the 500. So you will just randomly select the numbers. Hello, am I not audible?
You're audible, ma'am.
Okay, I saw some message here. So let's say then under this 500, you randomly take first, 10th, then some 16 number, 24 number, 35 number family, and you just analyze that data to reach out to a common conclusion. That becomes a random sampling. So this is various kinds of techniques we do use in field study, field methodologies, field study methodology, where you have to go and on field and collect data from that. Now, for some people, it won't be possible to go for a field work. So these people will rely either on library methodology, library research methodology. So under library research methodology, not necessarily you just have to go and visit libraries and collect data from that. Yes, definitely that comes under it. For example, you have to visit libraries, you have to cross-check the records given in books or in various different record forms, like some government reports or something like that, and take data from it. And then you can analyze that data and then you can write about that. Now, another thing is there. When we say library research, nowadays the library is at the fingertip. You just click on your computer or on your mobile and you get PDFs. You at the same time you get even a lot of websites where you get lot of materials also, right? So you can collect some articles, then research papers, dissertation thesis is available on Shodhganga, or you can scroll through ResearchGate or Google Scholar, right? And you can get data from there. So that also comes under library research. Whatever data you will collect from it, you will analyze that data and you will lead to your conclusion. You will apply it, and you should always have a theoretical background. So under theoretical background, there should be a base of some theory, which should talk about which should be a foundation for whatever kind of research you are going to go for. So why we should have a foundation or theoretical background to our approach to our study? Because it gives you a direction. It tells you which direction you have to lead to, and it also clarifies the target which you want to achieve, where you want to reach, and get the data from, what kind of study you want to conclude, right? So all these things are very important, and that's why you always should have a theoretical background to your study. Some scientific approaches should be involved, then your research becomes scientific. Always remember, research is always a new contribution, something new to the existing stream or completely new existing stream of knowledge. At the same time, research is always scientific. It does have rules, regulations, norms, ethics, standards, practices, which we have to follow and conduct research and then lead to the conclusions. So please remember, research is not something that is random. It does have a structure, it does have steps which you have to follow. Now, when we talk about structure, this is just a common structure that most of the research writings do have. So you have introduction, then literature review. Under literature review, in introduction, you have to talk about what topic you have chosen and what you want to do with it, what research problem you want to investigate. Under literature review, you have to identify parallel similar works which are already done on the field that you want to do a research in, and then how those articles or let's say books or reports are going to help you out in giving a clarity in the path you want to walk. So you have to relate all those literature that you are referring to your own research. That comes under literature review. So literature review is sort of small summaries, giving a brief about what is written in that particular article or what is written in that particular book and how that is related to your own research. Then comes methodology. Here you have to explain which method you have chosen. Is it field work, quantitative method, qualitative method, audiolingual method, or what kind of sampling techniques you are going to use. Under methodology comes tools and techniques that you are going to use for your research. Then comes is the result section. So here, before result also, after you explain the methodology, you have to go for the analysis of your data. So if you have a huge amount of data, you can cut it separate into different chapters, find out commonality, and then all those common things will be discussed in one particular chapter and other in another chapter. And then when you are going to analyze, at the same time try to find out, write down what kind of results you are finding. So under result section you can discuss about what kind of analysis you have done. Under discussion also, what is the result, what are their implications, what are things you have observed. Okay, and then comes is the conclusion section. Under conclusion section comes your main part. Before that, even in the result section, you cannot give your opinion. You don't can't become subjective. You have to very objectively identify and analyze data. Now, in result section, you just have to become a third person, and just from third person perspective, you just have to apply the theory that you have chosen to the data that you have collected and analyze there. Here you are not going to contribute any opinion of yours. Where will you give your opinion is in the conclusion section. In conclusion section, you can write under findings that what are your observations and what you have found out. What have you identified in your particular this section itself. Okay, please go to the next slide. Then comes is steps. Now this particular step is very important. Now, what the steps are? The first step is choose your research topic. See, research writing is itself is a journey. Okay. But this is not some random journey. This is a targeted journey. You have to take a decision. I want to do a research and I want to explore certain topic and I want to lead to this path in order to achieve something. These are certain things you have identified and concluded in your mind before you start your journey. So first step comes is to identifying the topic. Unless and until you decide a topic, you cannot start your journey. You cannot commence your journey, right? You should know where you want to go. It is not some random journey that you have to go for. Understood? So you have to identify a topic. Now, choosing topic is the first step, but a very important step. Many people fail into choosing a right topic, and that's why they fail in conducting their research, and their research also fails. And then they think that, oh, it's not my cup of tea, it's not in my capacity. It's never like that. Research is comes out of a curiosity, and human being is born curious. So it is possible for every human being to conduct the research. Only thing is you should always understand your identify your own capacities and choose something that you are capable of. For example, if I want to conduct a research same on identifying the financial conditions of the people below poverty line, I cannot write this title because this title is leading me nowhere, because people below poverty line are everywhere scattered all over the world. So am I going to find out from every in every family? Am I going to visit other countries for that? No, it's not possible for me. It's not in my capacity. Even if I decide that, I cannot conclude my research in the given span of time. So you have to understand, if you are doing a PhD, you have minimum 3 to 5 years, 6 years, if with extension, let's say 7 years, and you have to put a deadline and finish it up. So your research should be achievable. Your topic should be achievable. It should not be over ambitious topic. For example, I'm going to find out financial conditions of people below poverty line in the East Asia or something like that. Is it possible for you to cover all the countries in East Asia? If possible, go ahead. Again, in East Asia, there are many states, many countries, under each country, many states, under every state, many districts, under every district, many villages, and many things, right? Many families. So, is it possible for you? Impossible for a single human being to do it in the stipulated time frame of the research work. So, you better identify a place which can be covered up. So let's say 1 year I'm going for data collection, or 6 months I'm going for a data collection. Is it possible for me to cover this particular patch? For example, I have taken one small, district in, let's say, Telangana, or let's say in Maharashtra. Pune is also a very wide district. It's very difficult to identify all the people and collect the data of all people below poverty line in Pune. It's very tough. So you can identify one particular patch. I take one or two, three villages nearby, five villages, or one particular small, distinction of this, right? So you can do something like this, and you can go ahead with your research in that. So understand, whatever topic you will choose, it should be in your capacity. It should not be topic with over ambition. At the same time, research should always benefit at large. It should not be beneficial only for you. It should benefit to the wider community. Though it's academic community, or if, for example, if you are studying the quality life, or you are working to improve the quality life or tribal people, right? And if you are selected some particular tribes in Maharashtra, in one particular western ghats of Maharashtra, or let's say in Telangana, or Tamil Nadu, or somewhere particular place under Tamil Nadu, one particular small district I have chosen. In particular district I'm going to study the improving quality life, studying, doing a research to improve quality life of the tribal people. See, this is going to help a lot if your research is practical and your solutions given or conclusions, findings jot out are going to practically help people out, then it is definitely going to benefit a community at large, wider community, definitely. Now, those conclusions and findings can be applicable to the people from other states also, to the people who are from different streams. People from other states, because they are also tribal people, might be they are facing some common issues, and these common issues at least can be resolved. So you have to understand that. Understand this is research is an opportunity for you to showcase your thoughts in a most powerful medium. Research is the most powerful medium. And please identify the timeline you have. And first thing, you have to question your own capacities. Do not go for over ambitious topics. Now, I hope you have understood the importance of research, why we should do research, because we have to contribute into the benefit of the wider academic community. Second important thing is examine what is expected. Now, when we say what is expected, it's not only your expectations. When we decide that I want to conduct a research, understand there are some ethics, there are some protocols. So, what these ethics say, what these protocols say, do not plagiarize, follow guidelines. This is the referencing style. So, these are certain expectations given in these handbooks, in the policies, research policies. Please study those carefully before you start research. First step, identifying your topic. Second step, studying all the policies in detail and then abiding by those. Draw the lines in your path and walk on those lines. Do not go beyond that. How to structure a thesis is also very important. So once I decide I'm going to study, uh, uh, I want to study about the issues faced by the tribal people and improving their quality life. Okay. And I have identified one particular region in Maharashtra of tribal. There are many tribal communities. So this is what I have decided. Now the topic is in my mind. Now I know where shall I go. The place is decided. Now you have to decide the path. I am staying here in Pune. I have to go there. Going there doesn't mean that physically going there. I have to plan my itinerary. What would be my first step? How will I collect the data when I'm sitting here in Pune? I have to glance through government websites. I have to, find out what are various government schemes, what are other things, what are various case studies, what kind of issues faced by people on my fingertip. I'll research here at my home first. Then I'll try to investigate. There is also interview method included in the research, where you will go and interview people. Now, interviewing tribal people in one goal that I'll have. At the same time, there will be a lot of social workers or NGOs who are working in order to improve the quality lives of these tribal people. Or else, at the same time, I'll also go for literature review. Somebody must have conducted such kind of pilot study in some other state or other country altogether. What kind of models they have employed and what kind of solutions they have found out. Are those solutions practical enough? If yes, then how can I apply those to my particular domain, my particular research? You can plan in that way, and then you can go for the field visit. You can go and study these people. You can stay with them. You can take their interviews. If field work is not possible for you, then you can connect to those NGOs. You can take online interviews of those people, understand issues faced by them, or else you can study the government reports or something like that, and you can go ahead with your research. Fine. Then you also have to identify the source materials those you are going to use. Now, when we say source materials you are going to use means what? Now, which you identify your topic, you identify your methodologies. Now you have to identify what kind of techniques and tools you are going to use. At the same time, from where you will collect your data from. You also have to think about that. For example, I will be collecting my data from the government websites. This is what I have decided. Or I'll be going for the field work and I'm going to collect my study material from there. This is what I can do. So these all things you have to identify and go for. What forms of analysis are pursued as appropriate? For this, you have to study the ethics and protocols given. At the same time, you have to check out for what are possible things for you. Okay, this both things you have to go for. Thereafter comes have a clear goal and please structure it properly. Once I finalize my topic, have a clear goal. That and at the same time understand what is hypothesis. Now, when we think they say that what is hypothesis, you should have a clear goal, clear aims of your research. I want to do this. I want to um, study this particular topic with this intention. My intention is to help giving some concrete solutions in order to improve the health conditions, health related conditions of lactating mothers in the tribal family. This is my one of the goal. And for that, I will do a rigorous medical study also. I'll visit doctors, I'll understand their conditions, I'll try to find out the solutions and so on. This is what is my aim. These are my particular goals. So once my goals are decided, I have to structure my thesis. So my first chapter will be introduction, second chapter will be theoretical background and framework. Third chapter and fourth chapter will be given to the analysis of the data, results, and so on. And the last final chapter will be the rigorous discussions and findings and solutions, which I will dedicate. So these are certain things I will structure. And then accordingly, I'll plan my research. So will I go for interview methods or will I study only government reports? Will I go for field work, stay with them, live their life, and then I'll conduct my research? All these kind of things you have to go for before you start your research. You have to plan all these route maps. Another thing is you cannot simply jump from your place, go at the field site, and start doing your research. You should always have a concrete theoretical background, some theories. Somebody must have jot down some theory. For example, if you are doing a research in education, then you can talk about the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. And you can employ that approach of multiple intelligence in your research and how that multiple intelligence approach can be helpful to a teacher to identify, segregate their teacher students in different way and give them correct feed. So all these things are there. So you should have some theoretical background. Second thing important is once you have theoretical background, you should do ample literature review. You should read a lot. You should survey a lot about what other people have done. Okay, and then you can contribute about that. Then important point comes is structuring your research. So when you structure your research, you should be very much aware about how all these things are going to help you out. Which data should be put in what manner, in at what extent exactly. When you draft your research, you finish writing. Sorry, you finish writing your uh, full thesis, let's say, or dissertation. Then what happens? You can't simply submit it out. You have to get it reviewed. You have to show it to the experts. You have to take suggestions from other people. And then you have to make changes. And then if there is a final for it. Always remember, do not rely on the first draft of the research. It's never possible. Even to the experts, even people who are really well experienced, whenever they write a research paper, they can't finish it in it's just first writing. They just think, rethink, make changes. Okay, draft, redraft. And then when you feel satisfied, then you finalize that portion. Then you can go ahead with the next portion. So unless and until you have that self-satisfaction, you understand your research is not complete yet. So always remember, if you are satisfied with your own research, only then you are going to satisfy others, or else they will also find flaws in your research. Next important step is write as you go. Never think that right now I'm thinking, let me read everything, then I'll start writing. It doesn't happen like that. Always carry a small book with you. So whenever even walking, talking with friends or talking with your teachers, peers or something, you get some idea, write it down in that small note, or even in your mobile phone, make a section where you can start writing your own notes. At the same time, whenever you read some article, immediately write down a summary about that. When you are writing a summary about an article, especially what happens, when you are Google searching out something online, doing an online research, there is a huge data mining that we do. You come across, you start navigating articles after articles after articles, and you end up glancing through hundreds of articles in one go. Okay. Now, where is the record of all these 100 articles? When you close that tab, next day you are searching another 100 articles. There should be a record. Always have a discipline and standard practice. Or whenever I have opened one particular article, though it's in book or even online, write down the title, place of publication, year of publication, publisher, and then summary about it. If you are referring some article, write the page number. All these details are there needed to be put in the bibliography, because unless and until you put it in the bibliography, your plagiarism doesn't come down. Or else, if you do not give references or put citations, then that particular mention in your research is going to be caught by Turnitin or plagiarism software, and it will be concluded as a plagiarism, chori, copying the material. If you want to avoid that, always remember whatever you are reading out, right away cite it out. Right away, keep writing in your notes along with the summary. So later, and if possible, then copy and paste the links also. So later on, whenever you want to go and revisit it back, you can go for that. Huh. Yes. So in this way, you have to conclude your work. At the same time, you have to follow discipline practices. See, research is a little longer, but a very rigorous journey. And it's a very, as I said, that research is a targeted journey. I would like to make another statement that research is also a discipline journey. You need discipline, consistency, and a lot of patience. Unless and until you have patience, you cannot end your journey. As there will be a lot of ups and downs. There will be a lot of places where you are not satisfied with your draft, or your guide will not be satisfied with your draft. They will ask you to make changes. Then you will feel frustrated, or it may happen that at one certain point you will feel uh, out of thoughts. I cannot think anything more, or I cannot go ahead, something like that. And then you should take a small break and come back, read what you have written, and start fresh. You will definitely get new points over it. So it needs a lot of patience, practice, and consistency. Another important thing is many students start with a lot of zeal and enthusiasm, but they then lose patience, and then they take longer breaks. And these longer breaks kill your research instinct. Again. So these are certain things we have to understand and keep in our mind. Okay. Now, very important thing here is you always have to ask question to yourself, quest and investigate yourself. For example, whatever I am writing, is it logical? Whatever I'm concluding, does it make any sense? You should always start asking questions. Why I always say that you should be consistent in your research? Because research is time bound. And if you want to meet your deadline, then you have to keep on going. You cannot take breaks in it. You cannot afford. Because if you take longer breaks, it kills your research instinct. You lose the links. You just forget whatever you have done, and you again have to begin fresh. And that kills a lot of time. So you should better go consistent with whatever you have chosen to go for. Always mention in your bibliography, give citations, and whatever you are writing, it should be a very well draft, well structured research. For that, abide by the guidelines. These guidelines always help you out. Next slide, please. So this is a common structure that we already have talked about. So we have, before we go for our actual writing, these are certain common pages we should always include. Like, yes, ma'am, please go to the next page. So this is your title page. Next slide, please. This is your title page. It looks like this is just one model. There might be a variation in it. So whichever university you are submitting the research in, so you can start with the logo of that university, the title of your research topic, then your name, submitted by, then submitted to whom you are submitting it, your research guide's name, then month and date of your research, and the university to which you are submitting your research. Next slide, please. So there are many people who help us in doing the research, right? So this is a page where you should thank them. This is a page of acknowledgement where you thank, including your guide and everybody else who has helped you out. Next page, please. Abstract. Now, abstract is a short summary of whatever you have written. Let's say if you have written thesis in 300 pages, right? So what you have written in 300 pages, summarize that into 150 to 300 words in the abstract. So what includes abstract? Abstract states the main topic of your research. What's your topic, area of your research, and what is your major aim, what you want to achieve through your research. It also talks about hypothesis. Hypothesis is sort of tentative conclusion that, yeah, I'm doing research in this and this might be a possible conclusion. For example, if I want to find out the solutions to improve health conditions of lactating mothers in the tribal communities, then my solution is some government amendments in some government policies, or let's say this much amount, let's say 5,000, 1,000 given to each lactating mothers in the tribal community every month. It will be helpful for her to improve, buy some food or medicines which are helpful for her and her baby also, and it will help their conditions, something like that, or else any other kind of solution I might have given in my uh, hypothesis. So thereafter, which method you are using for your research, what are tools you are using, then what major findings you have came across, all these things will be in your abstract. Now, please note one point. According to discipline, if you are from science field, technology, or arts, humanities, social sciences, the type of abstract changes. So please find out which kind of abstract is suitable to you, but the points which we have discussed are common. Next slide, please. Table of contents. So under table of contents includes everything that all the major headlines on your pages should be there along with the page numbers in your table of contents. At the same time, if you are using abbreviations, please make a separate page and list your abbreviations there. Under table of contents, you will write those abbreviations. Next slide, please. List of figures and tables here. Now, if you are from scientific discipline, technology, then you go for you use certain figures or tables. And if you are using n number of figures there, then you should better make a list of it in a glossary form. Or, for example, if you are using abbreviations, for example, if I say IE, you won't understand what I mean by, because you can say international education, international English, or I mean in an English. Now, what I mean is different than what you think. So I have to give a full form of that. Where shall I give a full form? I have given full form in my writing. But if somewhere I have written only IE, the person might have reading your thesis might have forgotten what it mean by. So again, finding out in previous pages is very difficult. So best place is give a glossary. There you give a list of abbreviations where you write the whole thing. Okay. Next slide, please. I had talked about what should be there in the introduction. So in introduction, you have to make clear which area of research you have chosen, what is your main purpose, where you have to write about your aims and objectives, and how your research is very relevant to the current scenario, how it is going to contribute on a larger scale. Next slide, please. Then comes your research, literature review, and theoretical framework. I have told you what to write in literature review. Please cite the whole information, including the title of the literature that you are using, with the name of the author, page number, year of publication, place of publication, everything there, and summarize it. Next slide. Methodologies. We have discussed a lot of methodologies here, like quantitative, qualitative, experimental method, ethnographic. Now, ethnographic method is studying particular ethnic group like tribal people. So that methodology is different. Experimental method that such as we conduct experiments in sciences and technical fields, it goes in that. Then interview, surveys, archives. These are certain strategies you can use. Thereafter, a statistical analysis is there. Discourse analysis, statistical analysis, you deal with the stats, data, numerologies, numbers. Then discourse analysis, we study speeches, pieces of speeches, oral or written, and then we analyze those. Then you can use tools like computer programs, libraries, something like that to conduct your research. Next slide, please. And you can use various tools like sampling methods, data collection methods, and so on. Research and finding section. Here you will have your statement of problem, then hypothesis, topics, subtopics. Next slide, please. This section is very important, the section of discussion. Please change the slide. Yeah. So here you have to talk about what is the scope for your study and what are your limitations of study. Now I am studying the tribal group of only this particular region. And under tribal group, I am studying only lactating mothers, not every tribal man, right? So this is my limitation of my study. What's the scope? That it will help to improve the health conditions of the mothers, ultimately improving the health conditions of the child. And then if the child is healthy, mom is healthy, child is healthy, the community will also be healthy. So larger benefit, and this kind of results will be applicable to the other tribes also. So this kind of scope and limitations should be discussed under the discussion section. You can give different title. As I have said, discussion doesn't mean that you have to write only discussion. Okay. Then you also have to interpret the result. Analysis also has to be done in the separate chapter itself, where you should write analysis of your research data itself. At the same time, you also have to write about what was unexpected that you came across, how you dealt with it, how you overcame those problems, what kind of solutions you found out, and so on. Last one is, next slide, please, conclusion section. Now, under conclusion, you should talk about various research questions and how you have made the answers of those research questions here. And why your research really matters. How is it largely beneficial to the large community, major group? Okay. You can also give recommendations for the further researchers. I mean, the topics areas which you could not cover. For example, when I was researching on lactating mothers, I found out Actually, there needs to be some kind of help, or even the children above 18 years also, or let's say children above 11 years also facing lot of issues. They are more involved into uh, kind of addiction, and that is also causing damage to the community. So how to overcome that? How? Because they are smoking, they go. Even if you are aware about the fact that due to the scarcity of food, or poverty, and the mothers also have to go out and search for the food or work. Many people give some kind of small amount of drug to the children, so the children should sleep and should not bother for the whole day. And that becomes a habit to the children. They become very addictive to the drugs very easily at a very small age of their life. So how to overcome this kind of problem? I could not, conduct a study on that due to the limitation of my study, but the further researcher can go for it. So these kind of things come under this conclusion section. Next slide, please. Please do not forget to give a reference list. That is in bibliography. Bibliography is very important. Now understand citations, footnotes. There are different things. So under footnotes, you clarify, where you have taken. You can give numberings. There are standard research style sheets which you should follow. For example, if you are a humanities student, then you can go for MLA style sheet. If you're a student from law, you can go for OSCO law. Psychology students have to go for APA style sheet. Scientific discipline can also go for APA style sheet, and so on. So all these things you have to mind. And then, for example, I have to clarify one particular concept. I can give in superscript 1. Another new concept, I can give 2. And then I can either describe those in the footnote, or I can give separate list under citation where I will describe all those things in detail. Fine. Next slide, please. Appendices, for example, if let's say I have taken interviews, or I have extra photographs or something like that, I can add on all these things to my main dissertation as an additional information. Next slide, please. These are certain mistakes you should avoid as a student. So let's say, please do not miss preliminary pages of thesis, otherwise it will be incomplete. For example, let's say table of contents, page of certification, acknowledgement, abstract, abbreviation, something like that. These are very crucial. At the same time, last pages like citation, bibliography, reference list, these are also very important. Your abstract should not be longer. If you are writing a thesis, it hardly goes for a page, or if it is a research paper, it should be around 150 words itself. Or else, please go through the guidelines in detail, and they have given the word limits there. Then always remember to format your thesis in a proper way, avoid to the guidelines, and avoid using words in the proposal stages. For example, uh, we when we write a proposal, we write in future tense, but when we write a thesis, we write in a past tense, because we have completed study. When we write proposal, we propose, I will do it, I want to do it, right? But when we write a thesis, it is a record of what you have done, so that goes into past tense. Please remember that. Do not violate academic integrity. Do not indulge in plagiarism. Follow strict norms. And your thesis should be error free. Do grammatical corrections, grammatical checkups. Get it peer reviewed. Get it reviewed from experts. Get it reviewed from language experts. If you are writing that certain language, take help of that particular expert. Next slide, please. So these are certain things one person has to abide by while doing a research, conducting a research. And if you follow those norms, if you keep your consistency, if you uh, discipline yourself, then you will not find this journey hectic. You will always find this journey to be a very joyous one. Thank you so much, IoT, for giving me such a wonderful opportunity once again to interact with the curious minds, those who are ready, mentally ready